Join me today as we go through all these plants that I just got in a plant haul and we get them planted up into the garden. Hey there guys, welcome back to Horticulture Geek. I'm Ray, and thank you so much for joining me today here on the channel. And yes, we are going to talk about this plant haul that I have got. And this is actually two separate plant hauls from two different stores that I've picked up to kind of put together some of my remaining planters and things. So I was gonna walk through all the choices that I made, show you where they go, and then get everything planted up. So hopefully you will enjoy this video. So again, to remind you, if you're new to my channel, I am in zone 7B, 8A, depending on where you look at the zone charts, in central Arkansas. So we have a long, hot, humid summer here. So I'm choosing perennials and annuals to go into different areas of my garden. I've got some shade containers, I've got some full sun containers, I've got some hanging baskets, and then I've got a few things to go into the actual landscape itself. So let's jump right in. I'm gonna flip the camera around a little bit and we're gonna start talking about each of these beautiful plants. Here we go. All right, so first up in our planting project today, I have picked up this Heucherella, and this is a Fun and Games I Spy Heucherella. All right, so this is a shade-loving plant. So it wants part shade to full shade, so it can handle a little bit of light. And I'm putting it into this metal container here. This process is super simple. So we're just going to tip out our root ball. Look at that, looks nice and healthy. Set that to the side. And then right here, I am going to take some of this dirt back out. And I'm gonna be using the container it came in as my planting guide. All right, so now that I've got that in the center there, I can now backfill around it with more potting soil to get the level of the container up to where I need it to be for this plant. When you are planting in a tight space like this, it's a smaller container, and you have a plant with a larger leaf canopy, it's easier to do this a lot of times than it is to try to put the plant in and hold the leaves back and put the soil around it. So we're just gonna work through this real quick, and then you can see I'm packing that soil in as I go. Just gonna keep filling it up here. And if dirt falls into my pot here, my center container that the plant came out of, no harm, no foul. I'll just pour it back into the planting bucket, my soil bucket, here in a second. Okay. So now I've got a perfectly placed hole. Right down in there. And this one is ready. Okay, my next planting project tonight is for the matching container of the one we just did. And I'm actually going to be harvesting a heuchera out of this container here, okay? This is an old, cheap plastic container. It served its purpose extremely well for me for years and years, but now it is old and faded and wore out. The plastic is starting to get brittle, and it's just not worth putting a whole lot of money into it to try to repaint it or fix it and all that. The soil in here is ready to be replaced as well. This plant has been living in this pot for about 3 years, I believe. So it's time for a change for this plant. So I've already got this planter here. As you know, I've got some fresh soil in it. I just did that. So now I'm just going to try to persuade this plant out. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of grooming on this, clean up some of this dead stuff that was left on here from the winter. All right, now then I'm just going to put this right down into this new container. This container is done. I'm through with it. Okay, so now here I have this. I still have some space here. Not quite sure what I want to put in here, but I've got some things. Okay, so to fill this container out for now, I'm just gonna go in with some annuals. I've got some Dusty Miller, I've got some wishbone flower, and I've got some impatiens. So, just gonna pop a few of these things in here. All right, so I just put in one Dusty Miller. It can get some size on it. I put in 2 wishbone flowers. They will drape a little bit. And then I put in the 2 impatiens just to give a pop of color. So we have that. I'm also gonna try to put this cage on this container. So we will see how this goes. Okay, I've got this one done. I'm gonna get it in place. Okay, so now that we finished those containers, and you'll see there's a little third one. I just popped in a Dusty Miller there, but I had the set of 3 pots, and I had the set of 3 little trellis pot toppers. So we've got this little corner planted up. Let's move on to the next. Okay, so new day here, and I have realized that I started out this video saying that it was going to be a plant haul, and I quickly got away from that, and that trend continues. But here we go. Our next planting project is our aqua pots, and they are right here next to me. Let me put them in camera for a second, okay? Now, I have just finished cleaning out these aqua pots. I used these planters last year, and I wanted to clean them out because if you are not familiar with an aqua pot, let me show you. This is it right here. It still has the tag on it, okay? So this insert sits into that container, and the soil gets stacked up through here and goes down this tube. But this whole space in the bottom of the pot is allowed to fill with water. And this is my watering spout right here. So I can fill this up and keep this reservoir filled up. And there is a drain hole in the side of my pot that is on the same level there as this insert, okay? So what we are doing is we are creating a constant water reservoir for this container so that whatever plants we plant in it have access to water. This is a huge assistance, a huge help for containers like these that sit here on my patio, and my patio is not put together right now, it's still early, but there's no way for me to run irrigation to these containers. I could do it, but I would have to run an irrigation line over my concrete, which creates a tripping hazard. So this is a common problem that gardeners face if you want containers on your hardscaping, on your hard surfaces in your garden. So these aquapots are wonderful for that, because now I can have this container setting here in full hot sun all day long, but the plants will have access to water. So as the soil gets warm, as the roots get warm, as the plant wants to wilt, it can constantly pull up that water. And then once every day, once every other day, I just come and top off the reservoir and keep the water in there. I love this pot. It's a great thing. So we're gonna plant these up today. Now, I did overwinter last year's plants in here, and I completely, as you've just seen, cleaned these out. They are empty. Why did I do that? Because the plants that were in there last year just went in last year, and some people will try to use dirt from multiple years. And in a normal container, I would say, absolutely. If your soil still looks like it has life in it, it's not crusty, dusty, completely kaput, you can amend it, you can put some compost on it, you can put some biotones in it. If you have a normal pot, do that. But this situation, we have a pot that is setting filled with water all the time. So it creates an anaerobic environment. So the soil that was in this container was wet and waterlogged and saturated, because over the winter time, the plants that I left in there, and you can see them right there, and they're sitting right there, they didn't drink as much water as they would in the summer. So that created an opportunity for mold, bacteria, pathogens to grow, okay? So in these aquapots, if you have them, I would recommend this too, because I do this. It's just peace of mind. Completely empty them out every year. Wash your pots out really good. I have done that. I took them over to my hose pipe. I pressure washed all the gunk, debris, and grime off of them, scrubbed them down so that I can start fresh. So now then, I can plant things in here for this year, and I won't run the risk of any pathogens attacking this year's plants from last year's waterlogged anaerobic soil, okay? That's just my recommendation. Now let me show you these plants that came out of this pot, because it's crazy. So this is an asparagus fern. Now it needs to be groomed, but look at the roots on that. And this is about half the roots. These containers were completely filled with all the roots off this plant, and they are thick, and they needed to come out of that pot as well. So, and we are not going to be putting these back into these containers, but we are going to be putting back in this lantana. So each container also had a lantana in it, and this is the Luscious Grape Lantana. I kept the tag from last year, and this one is already starting to try to bloom, or it is blooming. So I pulled him out. We're gonna get him put back in there. And then this year, I'm gonna also put palms in here. Let me set this down. and I just have a palm, okay? I actually picked these up on the clearance rack at a big box store, so I did not pay that much for them. And I just thought that they would be the fun centerpiece in these containers this year. Okay, and then I have some marigolds as well to go in these containers. So at this point, I'm just gonna set up the camera, get these containers filled with dirt, get the lantana, the marigolds, and the palms in there, and then these pots are done, and we'll move on to our next project. Here we go. Okay, well, my camera died as I was planting these, and I did not realize it. So here is the containers planted up. You saw me starting to fill them up with dirt, and then the camera cut. So, but I mean, you've seen one planting project, you've seen them all. But here are the containers. I think they're looking kind of fun. We've got our palm tree, we've got our lantana, and we've got our marigolds. And these will go on either side of the patio as soon as I get the patio cleaned off and set up. All right, let's move on to our next project. All right, so here we are, another day, and I'm still working on this project for this video. I've just had mishap after mishap, but that's okay. So here's what we're working on now. I picked up 4 new hanging baskets. These are plastic hanging baskets with a design on them. Okay. And these are gonna go around the patio, mostly in the shade. There's one that gets a little bit of sun. So today's planting is going to be a little bit of an experiment for that one. I've already got one of them filled with dirt, and we are using Impatience, the wishbone flower, and the Dusty Miller, okay? These are going to be very simple containers. I am going to put a Dusty Miller into the center. Then we're going to put some wishbone flower. I think 3 of them. In there, kind of around. And then I'm gonna fill the rest with Impatience. So let's get this done real quick. But before I do that, because I almost forgot, I went and picked up some more Biotone. So we are gonna add Biotone to this container. Okay. Okay, I think we're just gonna do 3 of the Impatience because they will get some size on them, and it'll just fill the pot out. So there we have it, and I just have to repeat this 3 more times. Okay, one thing I did want to point out with these, I did pick these up at Sam's Club, by the way. This is a Members Mark hanging basket if you're interested in this. And it does come with a drain plug in the drain hole. So we are just going to pop that out because we're not trying to create many ponds here. That water's got to get out of here so the plants don't drown. All right, I'm gonna get these other two done and then I'll show you where they're going once we hang them up. All right, so our next planting project before we look at the hanging baskets, because it's in the same area as the hanging baskets, is to plant our next plant, which is a brand new clematis for me that I just picked up. It's not a brand new clematis to the market, but it is called the Blue Light. Zoom in there for you. So this is a double flowering clematis. And this is a beautiful, healthy vine here. And I also picked up a new trellis to put it on. So we're going to go throw this in the ground. And then once we get this planted, we'll look at the baskets that are right there around this new plant. So here we go. All right, so here we are on the back side of the patio, and you can see there's a hanging basket. Here's our trellis with our new clematis, and here's one of the other hanging baskets. And I've got them hooked into the irrigation system. Okay. And then we have these containers here, which were part of this plant haul. So we've got the Persian Shield, a hosta, and a lemon coral sedum. And then this is a Brunnera. Whew, took me a minute. So this is a Brunnera macrophilia. Permafrost is the variety. So I've just got the one Brunnera in the smaller pot, the 3 plants in the bigger pot, and it's mirrored over there on that side. And then when we come around here, you can see the other hanging basket. And then the 4th hanging basket here. So the patio is still a definite work in progress, but we're filling up all the containers. All right, and I didn't show these getting planted up, but this is the other piece of our plant haul here. So I got enough plants to fill both of these 2 small containers on this side of the porch and on this side of the porch. So my shrub in the big pot is a tater tot arbovita or a globe arbovita. And then in the medium pot, I went with 3 plants. I went with a geranium, and I have its tag. So let's look at that. So it's the Presto Salmon geranium. And then I went in with the little blue flower, which is hard to see right now, but it's an evolvulus. And then right here, we have a calibrachoa. And then here, we have a verbena. And paired with that is a salmony pink colored hibiscus. So we've got the salmon geranium, the salmony pink hibiscus, the white lantana, the white calibrachoa, then the blue evolvulus, all going on in these pots on both sides. And you can see the white calibrachoa better over here. Okay guys, we're gonna wrap this video up right here. I apologize for it being kind of a convoluted video this week, but that was just the name of the game. And if you are a gardener, you understand that. And if you're new to gardening, it's okay. You know, what I mentioned at the very beginning of this video was those were two separate plant loads from two separate stores. I was out and about at one store. They were having a spring sale, just to like, hey, come back to the garden center. Everything's 20% off. So I picked up a bunch of stuff there. And then the other load, I was at a big box store and found some things. I thought, oh man, that's beautiful, I want to get it. So when you're out gardening, and I say this every year, don't feel pressured to buy everything at one time. Shop around, check different garden centers, check different hardware stores, check different big box stores. You will find beautiful, different things at all those places. Sure, they're all going to carry basics, but one store may have a different supplier than the next, and they might have a completely different plant. So it's good for you to shop around, try to find the best deals, and try to find the things that are going to make you happy in your garden this year. And then as you get those things home, if you can't get them all planted that day, it's okay. As you all saw, it took me over a week coming back and forth to get all this done in between other projects and work and things that were going on in my life, and that is perfectly fine. So I hope you have enjoyed this video somewhat, seeing the plants that I chose, to see where I've put them, you know, in my hanging basket. Some of them went in the ground, some of them went in the front. So those plants really went all over my garden and property, and they are ready to go and grow and put on beautiful displays all summer long now. So hopefully this has inspired you all to get out and get into your gardens. If you haven't been out shopping yet, now is the time. All of the garden centers are just busting at the seams. The hardware stores are busting at the seams. Even your grocery stores that carry plants are getting in fresh shipments because the demand is high. So you're going to find lots of things to choose from right now. So get out in your gardens, get to planting, and get yourself set up for success for this garden season. If you've enjoyed today's video, give me that thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. And if you have any questions, leave those down below. And as always, I'll answer them as best as I can. That's going to wrap it up for me today here in the garden. I hope you've enjoyed it. But until next time, from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.